Planning your wedding around your guests is key to your wedding success. You don't want to get this wrong. Upset or stressed guests affect the whole wedding vibe. Ciao, I'm Lucy. I'm a wedding planner and founder of Lista.com. I'm here every week with episodes to help you plan your Italian wedding without the hassle. So, your guests. I know you want them to have the time of their lives at your wedding, and today I'm going to share some things that come up time and time again at weddings to help you plan your guest experience in advance. So if you're having a longer celebration abroad, there's going to be more guest management involved, and you need to accept that from the start if you're having an Italian wedding. This type of wedding means that more of your budget needs to be allocated to the logistics more than perhaps an at-home wedding. So be prepared to spend more on these areas and less on the bits that perhaps you really want to spend your money on. I'm talking transport, food, etc. The guest issues become your issues, and the more you can do to mitigate these ahead of time, the less pressure you're going to feel in the lead up to your wedding. I've seen it happen so many times when people don't dedicate time and resources to the guests. The last couple of weeks of their wedding becomes really stressful, and even in the wedding itself. I don't want to see you there having stress on your wedding day because you didn't plan this in advance. Even if you know your wedding location and you think it might be relatively easy to get to, for some people, for some guests, it's going to be a big trip. And even for those who are used to travelling, the quicker you can hook them in with the best information, the better. We're living in a world of convenience and people expect everything to be easy. Italy is not built for this, so you're going to have to think, plan and work a bit harder to put all of this in place with your planning team. Your guests will always remember what a joy your wedding was, and if it's well thought through, they're going to be so thankful that they felt thoroughly cared for. Okay, so here are some guest issues that we need to overcome. Firstly, guests aren't sure where to actually stay for your wedding. This is really easy. Obviously, we can just look up places for them to stay. It's a really good idea if you've done this in tandem with thinking about transport, how close they're going to be to your wedding, and checked the quality and pricing of that accommodation. Are your different guests going to be happy with where you're suggesting they stay and what the prices are? The better you can kind of get this right and hone in on it, the easier it's going to be for guests, but also for transport later down the line. If they don't like what you've recommended, they're more likely to go off and book somewhere else, and that's going to make it a bit harder for you when you come to transport. The second thing is, how are your guests going to get around? And here I mean sort of airport to location. So do a recce for them. Car hire is really expensive at the moment, so give them transport options. Obviously there's car hire, there's trains, there's bus companies that you can connect them to. You don't have to pay for this, you don't have to do it, but give them all of that information so it's really easy for them to do it themselves. In our shop there's actually a transport guide, and it breaks down the different sizes of buses and some of the cost of those as well, so you could even give your guests a heads up on the costs so that they know what they're expecting when they get those quotes back. There can also be concern about how guests are going to get to and from the wedding, and I'm going to be really frank here, don't scrimp, just put the transport on for your guests. You do not want a guest calling you the morning of your wedding saying, I can't get there, there's no taxis. You know, that is not for you to worry about, especially on your wedding day, but that's going to have been your decision. If you've decided not to put buses on, that's all going to come back round to you when they've undoubtedly not booked the transport that you told them to, not booked a taxi in advance, and they can't get to your wedding, and you're going to have to scramble around and send somebody to get them. And believe me, I've seen it before. It's not just going to be one guest or one set of guests, it's going to be a big problem. The worst thing is a guest walking in late to your ceremony because they couldn't get transport because you didn't put it on. I've seen it and it's not good. The fourth thing, are we on? Guests are worried about food. Everyone likes to know what they're going to eat and when. It's just a weird human thing that we have. Give them options. Make it clear what's going to be their responsibility and what you're going to be providing. And if you're not providing certain meals, how they can access food. It's quite likely that where you're staying could be quite remote. It could be tricky for them to access food. Make sure it's clear, like there's a restaurant on site. It's open all the time. You'll be able to get food at these times. There is no restaurant on site or nearby. If you want food, we're going to have to get it from the supermarket, and we're going to get it in advance, and it's going to be in your apartment, so you've got your food for your stay. This is all a must think about before your wedding, because again, no one likes it when there's 30 people all together. discussing and thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch or that day, it's best to have that planned in advance. And again, there's a tool for this in our shop. You can plan all of the wedding meals and know where you are, so that you know the different resources and things you're going to have to buy in advance, and you can plot them into your budget now. The next thing is the weather. It is really important that guests know what to expect with the weather. It might be too hot, it might be too cold, it might be really hot in the day, it might be chilly at night. It's really good to just give your guests some tips so that they can think about what to bring along with them. They're likely to be mostly adults and they can look after themselves, but only if we give them that information. If you're having a May wedding, for example, it's going to be cold at night, and you can say to the ladies, you know, you could wear a dress in the day, but bring a covering for the evening. It's going to get chilly. No one likes to be sitting there eating their dinner cold, wishing that they'd bought a coat or they had a blanket. Just let them do that for themselves and know in advance. The next thing, and this always makes me laugh, there is always someone that wants to go home earlier than the shuttle that you have put on. Your transport cost is going to be slightly dictated by the number of shuttles that you have at the end of the night. So the more you have, the more it costs. So you're going to have decided that they start at a certain time. There will always be someone that wants to leave earlier than that, and they will come and find your planner and they will ask them if they can go home. If you can, it would be a nice thing to do to have really quite an early shuttle, like 11 p.m. There is always someone that needs to go at 11 p.m. They might be an older person, they might be someone that's just not feeling well, they might be someone that's got kids that they want to take home or they want to get back to. Definitely 11 p.m. is the best time to start the shuttle. So they're the things that commonly happen and come up, but most of this can be solved really easily with some research from you, some really dedicated planning and budget, and really good communication to your guests. Clear, honest, timely communication is going to be everything. And again, I've got a tool for this. Find my guest comms plan, plot that out in advance, and work out when you're going to tell your guests your different things and your different messages, and through which communications channels. So like save the date, website, invites, whatever. Plan it out in advance alongside all of this that I've mentioned today, and you've just got a really good plan there. Your guests know where they are, you know where you are, you know what you have to focus on, it's in your budget from the start. It's just a really clear approach to doing it. And most importantly, it should mean that you just have a really nice experience, and so do your guests. So if I'm a guest going to a wedding and I know buses are coming at 12 and I have to be ready by then, they're going to pick me up. I know that to get home, I either have to get the 12 o'clock bus or the 2 a.m. bus. I'm responsible, I know that in advance, it's my decision. I will work that out in advance or on the night. I know it's going to be 35 degrees. I will dress accordingly. I will bring certain things along, like sprays and fans and that kind of thing, to get through it. If you get this right, your planning is going to be a breeze. All of the tools that I've mentioned will pop below if we can in the comments. And of course, we have our membership, the club, which is a planning membership for people like you planning their Italian weddings. There's loads more videos like this from me in a lot more detail, lots more tools. We're building the most amazing space where we have everything you could need to plan your Italian wedding. Thank you for being here with me right to the end. Please help me reach more people by liking this video, commenting below, let me know how you get on with your guest plans, and subscribing to our videos every single week. Then you'll be notified when there's a new episode. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.